You are listening to the So Now What podcast with Lana Manikowski, episode number 72. Well, here we are, another week into the books. I don't know if I ever told you guys that I launched a YouTube channel, so I'm trying something different. I am going to be simultaneously video recording when I audio record a podcast. So you need to go to YouTube. Make sure you follow my YouTube channel. It is Lana, Lana dot Manikowski, Manikowski. And not only can you listen to the podcast, you can see me in the trenches as I'm recording each week's episode. So I wanted to talk about something this week that is probably one of the largest sticking points that those of us that pursued motherhood and desired motherhood and weren't able to achieve it are working through. And that is creating your purpose. Somewhere back in the depths of our mind, there is a little voice that is telling us that becoming a mom is our purpose as women. Now, this voice is very loud, and this voice has been sort of our hope for what it is that we want to achieve with our life and find our meaning through. But when you can't become a mom, there is another way to find purpose in your life. And finding purpose, I think a lot of us, for some reason or another, again, it's just the societal norm that we choose to believe. We believe that there is one purpose for us in this life and in this world. And one thing that I work on a lot with my students, and when I am the witness to somebody realizing for the first time that your purpose does not have to be one singular thing to yourself or to one person, it is just this dam that opens up and life starts to flow and life starts to feel less restrictive because you're not constantly seeking this one thing to define you or this one thing to be your beacon in your life. So I'm going to throw some ideas out there to you this week that you might want to consider. And if you are still holding on to the belief that motherhood was supposed to be your purpose in this life, I am not here to judge you or tell you that you need to let go of it. But all I want to do is offer you the opportunity to see things in a way that others have started to transition their way and see, maybe down the road, this is something you'll be ready to pursue. But I'm just planting the bug in the beautiful ear of yours to let you know that life might have another purpose or purposes for you. So let's all recognize that we as women might just be following in suit to what we've always heard. And we've talked a lot about this brain of ours that is just conditioned to move along in the flow and just, not question things a lot because questioning takes a lot of mental energy. It takes us out of our norm of being comfortable and being settled into something. So back in the cave person years, there was just this acceptance that when you believe or you work or cooperate in the masses, you are in your safe place. So this brain of ours likes to be in its safe place. And when we all of a sudden throw something out there that gets us questioning something that the whole mass of people around us don't necessarily recognize or accept as their truth, we go into this fear mode and question ourselves and tell ourselves, how dare you think something different? You should not be the odd person out. You should not sit here and question whether things are true or not that everyone else believes are true. So, as you start to consider what purpose even is purpose defined by somebody else, or are you willing to consider what your purpose is defined by you? And are you willing to consider that this historical belief that purpose is one overarching thing that you are in existence of for the rest of your life? Are you willing to believe that that is how you want to define yourself and your purpose? Because when you allow yourself to just consider the idea that purpose might be multifaceted, that to somebody else, your existence might mean something so much different than you even know somebody is reaching for, that you just offer by innately being you. And it seems like what I found, and again, this is my opinion, and many of the students that I work with find it to be very heavy to be on this mission of finding your purpose. And what if waking up every day is an opportunity for you to serve purpose in your life and in the life of others on sort of just this circular type of movement? And what if you considered your purpose is finding out the truth of who you are as an individual is all that your purpose might be? And through stripping down and understanding who you are as an individual, who you've been created to be in this world, is the only purpose that you need to have in your life, is to understand who you are, what motivates you, what moves you forward, what scares you, what things you shy away from because of whatever reason, maybe because historically you believed you weren't good at something, or people told you that women without children don't live full lives and women without children aren't impactful, or women without children aren't needed like women with children. So, what if you were just willing to question all those things and move forward with an ease and a curiosity in it, instead of a fear that you're not adhering to it? So, does that make sense? Because that's a lot of what we do when we work together in the Thrive After Infertility Mastermind or with my one on one students. We really start to question, if something gives you discomfort or something makes you question who you are, listen to those questions. Don't accept them as true. Don't accept that your purpose in this world is only associated with having children of your own. Just get curious and say, I wonder why I believe that. Maybe ask yourself, does that need to be my truth? So, questioning yourself might just be part of your path of finding your purpose, or finding the true you of who you are and who you're intended to be in this life. So, I'm going to share some things that have come up in some of my coaching and in some of my own personal journey that might allow you to take this burden of finding your purpose off of your shoulders. So, think about the people that you impact by waking up and showing up maybe in your workplace every day. Maybe you serve a purpose in your workplace. Maybe you serve a purpose in your family life. So maybe you are a support to somebody, or maybe people look at you and gain their strength by seeing how you've navigated this journey. And maybe they're not going through infertility, and maybe they already have things in their life that you don't have, but they look at you and they look at how you navigate your life, and you serve a purpose to them as an example of something, of somebody who wakes up every day, even though life is so different than you imagined that you thought it would be. And when you wake up every day and you put one foot in front of the other, maybe you're serving purpose through your story and through your journey. And maybe there's people, and I want you to really think about this, who have served a purpose in your life that is so different than purposes they serve to others. So I've talked about this before. My second grade teacher, I'm sure she was a mom. I don't know. I mean, it was so long ago, but her purpose was teaching me basic math, how to add and subtract, maybe divide and multiply. But in her life, if she went home and had a husband or a wife or children, maybe she served a different purpose in their life. But to me, that was one of the greatest purposes that she served because that was the basis and foundation of math skills in so many different ways that I've been able to utilize arithmetic in my life was thanks to her, my second grade teacher. And so her purpose wasn't one universal thing. And now here's a personal story I'd love to share with you. The day that I found out that I wasn't going to become a mom, the day that my clinic called to tell me that my one frozen embryo was chromosomally abnormal and not viable for implantation, I was away from home. I was in Minnesota at my corporate office for my job, and I got this news, and I was sitting in the hollows of this dark corner, just trying to process what I was going to do. And this was the first time that I felt like there was finality in my journey after going through 7 years of fertility treatments and always having this glimmer of hope that this might be the time that it worked. And then finally getting that call that day that this was over. And my dream of being a biological mother to something with my husband and I both being biological parents to this child was done. And so I remember finding this dark corner and wanting to be away from anyone just while I was processing this information. I was sobbing, and this custodian, this woman who worked as a custodian in this office building, saw me and she came up to me and she comforted me. And in my broken Spanish and in her broken English, I explained to her what was going on, and the things she said to me served such a huge purpose to me. Now, I don't even know this woman's name. She doesn't even know who I am. She doesn't even know what I had been through. But when she told me, she put her hand on my back and she told me, "He will take care of you." She was serving a purpose that all these years later, I'll never forget her. So think about like the impact that she made, and she serves a purpose by not even knowing how she touched me and the strength that she offered me that day, and that moment that will always stick with me throughout the rest of my life. Like to me, that is my proof that your purpose does not need to be one singular thing. And maybe your purpose doesn't have to be thought out every day. But if you're showing up in your life and being just a clean, loving, true version of you to this world, that might just be the purpose that you're intended to offer. So if you're thinking about how you're going to move forward and how you're going to create this in your life, I can help you. It's something that we do all the time by just questioning ourselves as we're working through our classes in Thrive After Infertility. But you can also do it on yourself. And you can start today. You can start by doing your paper thinking and understanding what it is. Like, what is the true version of you? Who are you besides infertile? Like, maybe take the word infertility out of your life and out of your story and tell me who you are. Write that down on paper and start to understand how you can become closely associated with yourself as an individual so that when you show up in your life every day and you are just presenting the truest version of you, you are creating purpose in more ways than you could have ever imagined. And maybe there are some skills you want to perfect and some tools that you want to work on or share with others that might offer a greater definition of purpose to you. But when you allow yourself the freedom of just releasing this stronghold of the word purpose on you and start realizing that it could be multifactorial and there could be thousands of purposes you serve in this life. And you just allow yourself to stop believing that it has to be this one overarching thing. Like, think of your name, like mine, Lana Manikowski. What if I don't have to have a tagline that defines me the rest of my life? Because if I choose one tagline to define me and you choose one tagline to define your whole life, it can be very stifling. And the freedom that we have as women and as individuals to just move through our life and being fluid is the greatest gift and the greatest opportunity to discover our purposes. So think about that as you're trying to navigate this heaviness that you are associating with motherhood and your inability to become a mom. And see the lightness that exists by simply being you. So have a beautiful week. Know that no matter who you are right now, things can change for you. Things can get lighter for you. Things can get easier for you. But it just takes an opportunity for you to be willing to release that overarching definition of, of purpose that you've so longly associated with motherhood. And if you get a chance to check out my YouTube channel, I would appreciate you just liking it and following it so that more women like us can find each other. Because if you're anything like I was when I finished my fertility treatments and realized that I wasn't going to become a mom, I just longed to know that there was other women out there that knew my story and understood my story. And so maybe we can find one another and grow together and start to believe that our purposes can change the life of so many just by believing that motherhood is not the only way that we can change our lives and live in a legacy and create a legacy that impacts the world forever. So have a beautiful week. I'll talk to you next week. And remember, it is never too late to discover your meaning. I'll talk to you next week.